Education is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, values, and habits through various forms of learning, such as formal schooling, training, and personal experiences. It aims to develop individuals' critical thinking, problem-solving abilities, and character, enabling people to contribute to society and achieve their potential. Over the years, the quest for formal education and acquisition of certificates have been the main trajectory for many people, with the attendant neglect of skills acquisition. Thus, our focus on today's episode of Impact Nigeria is the place of skills or certificates in today's world. Welcome to your informative program that seeks to shape our perspective and rekindle our sense of patriotism. I'm Devan Hamat, your mom, and it's good to have you join us today. Our gaze will be on another critical aspect of our national life that interrogates the acquisition of skills and certificates. We will be right back.
It's engaging, it's refreshing, and impacting. Are you interested in contributing to the Nigerian project? Are you keen on adding your voice to the making of the Nigeria of our dream? Are you willing to be part of the new tribe of Nigeria that are sold on doing the right thing always? Then join the conversation every Saturday by 5 p.m. on Impact Nigeria on NTA News 24. It's a live interactive discussion program that focuses on values, reorientation, and nation building. Impact Nigeria, rekindling patriotism, live every Saturday by 5 p.m. on NTA News 24. Join us.
Welcome back. So, a raging debate has been on in our national space for quite some time now over the relevance of formal education as compared to skills acquisition. Statements such as certificate na scam, whose school help, skills or certificates are becoming a commonplace thing. Hence our decision to weigh in on the issue this week on Impact Nigeria. We went to town to feel the pulse of Nigerians on this very important matter. Let's hear their views.
Of course, the both is important depending on which of it life throws at us. But of course, school is not a scam. Even before you obtain these skills, you should have a certificate at least. You should be schooled. Then you can now venture into acquiring any skill of your choice.
If you know what to use your hand and do, anywhere you are, you can do something and still have food on your table. But some will have the certificate, no employment, they are going about, no food. So it's not that they are suffering, some of the graduates.
Shortly, the two are very, very important to the society development. Yes, simply because you need to acquire skill from somebody and you need to be certificated to be professional.
The current environment in Nigeria, I think they value more of the certificates than skills. Well, I believe in the more developed countries, I think they value skills. They value skills because it's all about what you can do, not about what you can present on paper. Skills. Because nobody sees your skills except you're doing it. But a certificate, you can just show your paper. And person will say, okay, this guy has this and this in his paper. So most of the time, it's just the paper.
Skills is more important than certificate to me. Because with skills, I think you can go to anywhere. Yes. But with certificate, like in Nigeria today, without certificate, you can't even get some certain work in Nigeria. But when you have the skills, I think you can do anything in Nigeria here.
Certificate is good. It has its advantage. You can get work anywhere, but skills still is, to me, preferable because even if you have that certificate and you're unable to get a job, the certificate is useless. But with skills, imagine those sewing. You can sew. Someone just, patch this trouser for me. You get quick cash. But with your certificate, you can't get that quick cash.
It's not about thinking anymore. It's about what really works. Because we talk about thinking. Certificate doesn't bring money, just a platform for you to just be advanced in knowledge. That doesn't bring wealth. Skills might not give you knowledge, but wealth comes with skills.
One thing that is becoming worrisome is the employability or otherwise of multitudes of graduates being churned out annually by our tertiary institutions across the country. Employers often complain about gaps in the skill sets of some of these graduates, while others are being rejected outrightly based on their inability to fit into today's labor market. Our backgrounder report, which is to set the tone for our discussion, will shed more light on this matter.
Certificate or skills. In a world where degrees and certificates once ruled, a new question is emerging. Do certificates still matters, or have skills taken over? Employers, freelancers, and students alike are rethinking what truly qualifies someone for a role. So, what carries more weight, the paper or the proof? Certificates, diplomas, and degrees are still valuable. They demonstrate commitment, structured learning, and are often required for regulated professions like doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, and so on. In some industries, not having a certificate can shut doors, no matter how skilled you are. On the other hand, skills are what actually get the job done. With the explosion of online learning, people are building real world skills like coding design, marketing, and so on without stepping into a university. Tech giants like Google and IBM have even started hiring based on your portfolios and assessment rather than degrees.
Certificates put a limit on you. Certificates create an ozone layer upon your destiny. You can't flow with certificates. And now what happened? We come back to skills. And if we go back to our African society, you discover that every family have what? One or two skills that that is peculiar, idiosyncratic to you, that is known with you. The particular family that what? They do sell leaves. Any kind of leaves, maybe herbs you want from wherever, you have it with them. A particular family knows how to plait hair. A particular family knows how to do blacksmith. Some knows how to go into, frying things and selling. So, but today what happened? Everybody believe in what? In certification. So if you ask me again, certification is gone. It's outdated, it's obsolete, in fact, it's past. The current word is word of what? Word of skills. The word is going to bless you based on the problem you can solve, not what you study in school.
Statistics shows a shift. Many employers now prioritize problem solving, adaptability, and job specific skills over traditional credentials. This does not mean certificates are useless, but it means they are not always enough. Skills prove capacity, while certificate prove you have passed the course. However, the smartest path may not be chosen one or the other, but combining both. A certificate can get your foot in the door, while the skills help you stay in the room and grow. Think of certificate as the roadmap and skills as the journey.
Skill is very important because most of the time your professional, when you have a certificate, some people cannot defend their certificate. You finish as a medical doctor. Some people cannot defend it. Some people cannot even defend the engineering course they have gone to because it is more of theory aspect. Now we have technology, we have technical schools all over the places. Most of these technical guys, they do better than the people that come out with their certificates. So, but because you call it technical, people underrate that certificate and don't value it. But this is what we need to talk about. We need to encourage more people to go into training. Like, do you know that it's hard for you to get plumber these days? How many plumbers do we have? We don't have plumbers. How many you want a carpenter to come and quickly fix? You don't see them. You want electrician to quickly come and fix it. You don't see them. You want someone to quickly fix your generator. Back in the days, we have them all available. But now, they are not because we don't encourage it. Nigeria, we don't encourage as much as we should encourage skills. That's why young people want to look for collar job. They want to look for education is different. It's key, but we need to encourage skills as well.
So, certificate or skills? The answer is both. But in a skills dominated world, having real demonstration ability is not negotiable. What matters most is what you can actually do. Remember, certificate still opens the doors, but skills keeps it wide open. If you can, pair the two, a solid qualifications and a real hands-on ability. You are unstoppable. So keep learning, keep building.
Welcome back. Joining us to answer some of the questions surrounding our attempt at finding a place for either skill or certificate is an engineer, an ICT expert, a trainer, and media manager in the person of engineer Jibril Ibrahim, a graduate of civil engineering from the University of Ibadan. He is the CEO of iMedia Mega Communication Limited, a media outfit that is into content creation, online publishing, training, and capacity building for the youth. It's good to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So certificates are products of different types of education in our country. How relevant would you say is the place of theory-based education in today's Nigeria?
Interesting. Thank you very much. And it's really a very important and very relevant discussion for us to have. The situation of what we call theory-based learning and skills, actual skills in the national development. I think what you will notice is it's a lot easier to teach, to just have in the class a teacher just talks in the class. But most of the work that needs to be done in the society, they are outside. It is easy to talk about a car, but to build a car, you need to get into a factory. So I think over time, Nigerians, the formal educational space of Nigeria has not been evolving to catch up with the need of the society out there. That's why it's easy to have teachers teaching in theory, but the students do not get a chance to actually get their hands dirty on what is being taught. I'll give you an example of what I studied, civil engineering. By the time I was finishing, to be honest, I had not seen some of the drawings, like we talk of beams and columns. I had not seen a beam. And I was writing exams, making a lot of calculation until I got out and I actually saw the reinforcement bars and everything. I felt very bad. That, you mean this is what they've been trying to teach me since? I would have understood it way more if many of those things were taught on the field with real samples of those things. So I would say that theory-based education is still relevant because the concept needs to be understood. But separating it from the practical, from the hands-on components of it, which gives one the hands-on skills, is where the problem lies.
I think the problem also lies with how we have chosen to craft our educational space. I have been privileged to stumble upon videos on social media of very young children in China at primary school level, 5 to 6 years of age. They have cooking classes. You know, there's a lot of real-world learning going on. I don't know how much of it is theoretical, but based on the videos I see, you see children who are very young that are adept at doing things with their hands, especially things that would be useful indoors, in their homes. And I think that this shapes them for more of such going forward. So is it possible that it's because of how our educational policy is shaped? Is that the reason why theory-based education seems to be completely devoid of any practical aspects? I think both are meant to actually be going hand in hand, even if the theory is more pronounced than practical.
Yeah, I think very correct that theory, they need to go hand in hand. One of the things, like the examples you make in some of this in China and a lot of, especially in the Asian part of the world, is that many of the things we are struggling to do here, they have factories. Like if you think of, if a child, a Nigerian child thinks of something, where can he mold? Is there a factory that can make a toy that you can go and prototype quite a number of things? Where you don't have electricity to make some simple things. So your creativity, your mental creativity will be limited to what you can write and what you can talk about. But in environments where it's easy to make plastic stuffs, if you imagine some metal work, there is a place where there are small household machine making tools that you can use. So I think that one affects it also. But at the base of it, knowledge in Nigeria is cheaper to acquire now than the implementation of it. So like yesterday I saw on Twitter, a special assistant to the president on media posted that the curriculum of secondary schools is being updated to include a lot of these practical skills. So for me, I was very happy as I saw that. But the question would be that which teachers will teach some of, because they were talking things around AI, they are talking things around even content creation and quite a number of things that are modern and relevant. But as I look at those things, I'm wondering, okay, will the secondary schools, do they have the teachers that understand AI? Do they, like, under English, for example, they said they will start teaching journalism, something that will be hands-on. But are the schools equipped and capable of actually training those children on those things? So I think at the base of it, the educational system itself is not prepared or equipped to deliver on that mandate. There is something called the triple helix model for the growth of skills program, which is, one is the government and the role, the policy shaping of the government. Two is the academia, which are the schools and what they teach. And three is the industry, which is where those things are needed. So the three of them must work together to really come out with what we need. So if we have a situation like in Nigeria where the government policies themselves around our school, the curriculum themselves are quite outdated, and the schools are not equipped with some of the machines that are required to train some of these things, and then the industry is there waiting, expecting what we are churning out to be able to serve them. So that break, the first two are not delivering the kind of output that the industry needs. And that's where I think the break actually lies. It's not just like, if you look at the examples of China and these places that you say, is when they've gotten a lot of the three components of this solution right. Then you see the education, the skills development being trickled down to even primary school level. Imagine you what you are saying now, which I've also seen a lot of time. You see a small child assembling things at primary, secondary school level.
With quite some dexterity, I might add. That clumsiness that you'd see in a small child, you don't see.
Also, there are videos I see where Toyota factory has a children, like an industrial attachment program, where they have a department for children to get their hands on actually the process of car making, but with tools that are children friendly and everything. Where is a car manufacturing a factory in Nigeria? Not to talk of them having. Yeah, very good. Now that's why I now add that if we have enough of that, and then having a children, like an industrial attachment process attached to Innocent, imagine the whole nation. And that's what that triple helix model is talking about. Imagine we know we have Innocent, for example, we have a number of even Pan and a few, and they know their skills requirements. Then they will be able to pass those skill requirements to the schools, and the schools can talk to the government to make policies that directly structures the curriculum that the schools need to deliver to service the specific needs of the industry, both now and into the future. That is like the chain that we need to work on. At other times, you have a situation where you look into the future, because it's one thing to have the skills for today. It's another thing for the government and the society to be able to project where AI is going, where security issues, look at the security issues we're having in Nigeria. These are things that if we look at the skills requirement to confront some of these things, we can start planning what we would need tomorrow.
Yeah, and that brings me to probably implementation is the bigger problem here, because I do remember that there was the 6334 system that was meant to kind of challenge these difficulties and come up with solutions. You do 3 years of junior secondary school, 3 years of senior secondary school. It still exists, but it's not been able to unfold in the way that it was laid out on paper. But that's a topic for another day, I guess. What do you think is driving the craze behind the acquisition of certificates in Nigeria? It's so common to see a person with a range of alphabets after their name, you know, and all of this, which in other parts is a way of showing how well read you are. But this has led to like a deep desire to amass as many certificates as possible. What do you think is driving this?
Interesting. I think we need to look at the Nigerian context, for example, as a whole. We have the population is there, but the opportunities expanding at the same rate. So for those jobs that are available, theoretically or on paper, to get your legs in, you need those certificates, theoretically. But to stay and grow in those jobs, you need the actual skills that your certificates were supposed to represent. But that's on one hand. The other hand is for us to separate unemployment from unemployable, because that's where the gap is. Unemployment is we have the people that have the skills, but the job opportunities are not there. Unemployable is a situation where the jobs are there, but the people are not skilled to fit those jobs. So in our situation in Nigeria, we have an unemployability situation. A lot of people have a set of skills that the national development, the core things we need, a lot of people don't have the skills.
And what are those core things we need?
Okay, for example, let's take which field, some of the core skills, some of the core areas of Nigeria's national development. We have food security, we have even security itself, and then we have manufacturing and industrialization. These are some of the core places that we need to, deal with our growth. So let's go into agriculture, for example. Of the urban people, the modern day agriculture, to feed Nigeria, how many youths of today are ready to go into agriculture in the manner that agriculture needs today?
And that brings me to the next question. What is the place of skill acquisition in the scheme of this whole education stuff?
So let's talk, what do we mean by skills, for example? As
That's
compared
a good place to start.
Yes, what do we mean by skills? Skills, because ultimately your paper that you bring will not get the job done. Is you. So if
Your
you say
capacity.
is your actual capacity. So if I employ a medical doctor, you have studied medicine. So you have the certificate as a doctor. But what will solve the real issue is when a patient arrives, you have the soft skills, which is the manner of approach. You can clerk a patient, listen, have good listening skills, even though you know the theory of the hard skills of medicine. But can you listen effectively to a patient and take the notes that you need to take, and then be able to do critical analysis of it? A lot of students, like I'm a bit close to the medical field also, a lot of students graduate now that the discipline, the hands-on skill they were supposed to have even as a student. A lot of our doctors graduate, and a lot of time in the class they had earphones. Like someone close to me was telling me that you see students now on a tour, this ward round that they do, and some of them have earphones on their ears. That level of indiscipline is creeping. Is those things are now happening. If you look at a lot of the critical sectors, critical educational verticals in Nigeria, especially something like this medicine now. It's a place that they valued theory and practical in the education. So it is normally very solid. But if you graduate people that are not very hands-on, then even that industry, you have the people with the skill, but in the implementation with time, you say we don't have enough of the right kind of people in that industry. So the skill is the hands-on, your ability to deliver what your paper said you should. If you take the IT industry also.
Your skill is your ability to walk the talk.
To walk the talk. Your certificate is that, yes, I went to the school. So the certificate can be even on the skill, on a relevant skill. So the certificate is not the problem. Is that the process, the educational process that you've gone through, does it enable you to walk the talk? Which is it's something that we really need to look at.
So certainly there's no running away from the fact that there is a nexus, there is a connection between skills and the theory-based education. Both have to go hand in hand. After you've acquired the certificate, come and show us the practical aspects of it. Show us that what you learned is something you can actually do, you can deliver on.
Because a lot of time, the certificate certifies that you pass through the system. It does not, what's the character, what's the discipline that you can push through in the course of that, of delivering that knowledge that the certificate said you can deliver. And then one other thing that, if I may add, that is also very crucial is because of the pace of evolution of the world, especially around digitization and a lot of things. It cuts across all industries that what you learn today, even if you studied computer science and graduate 5 years ago, you must continuously upskill yourself. There are languages that that were not there just years ago that are becoming essential today. There are technologies that are evolving and coming up today that were not there just a few years ago. So across board, we must as a nation have this mindset of continuous improvement or continuous upgrade of our educational process and system. And when our education is locked, when it's so rigid and it's not evolving fast enough, we'll get left behind very, very quickly.
So it's very interesting to hear that the government is interested in making sure that Nigerians are, up to date. They're going to teach people about AI. You expressed the concern about who will do the teaching in the first place, which is a valid point. But it also brings me to this point where even in the Western world, AI is now being abused by students. Students don't want to put in the hard work. Today, I had the misfortune of reading a news story that said that a lawyer got into trouble for, coming to court with some AI-generated citations and things like that. And we know that this is just the beginning of worse to happen in that regard. So how do you think AI can be inculcated into our educational system in a way that at the end of the day, students still actually learn? They're not just going home to generate their essays on systems and bring back to school. How do you think AI can be intelligently co-opted into our educational curriculum?
Yeah, very, very, very valid question. And incidentally, it's one of the topics that was listed as a secondary school element, Introduction to AI. In that document I saw, I pray it is implemented. Now, to integrate AI safely, and we must see, when it first came out, I was also quite excited. I started trying to use it until I realized that this is a very slippery slope that we must control. We must first realize that AI is a tool. It's not the end in itself. You want to write a script, or the lawyer wants to cite a citation, AI does not even get the context. There are some context around your exact situation that you are dealing with that AI. So that if we become mentally lazy, because it's possible as a society, but if, like the case that you mentioned, if that person is penalized enough, then other people will take caution. Because I've seen a lot of times now, even to write basic documents, a lot of people just churn out AI stuffs that you just feel the thing being soulless And, you just know that there's something just off about
Especially
this
if you've
script.
read the person's work at least once
before. You know it's not the same person talking, So, but it is a very powerful tool that if we officially integrate it into what we are doing, so that it's not like the student or the person thinks he's sneaking to go and use the AI. It is that we all know you can use AI, but your reports must be like something that you wrote by yourself. So what I've seen with my use of AI now, when I realize how disruptive it can be, I have over time started seeing that, okay, I take AI as a tool. I will have done all my work. Maybe if I want to check punctuation or some basic stuff, I can throw it to an AI machine and bring it back out. And then the other thing that when we talk about the need for integration of AI into the society, it's actually we must separate between using AI as an end user or building AI models.
Exactly. And that's where we have to take a break now. It has been very engaging so far, but we will be back shortly.
They are bold. They are creative. They are shaping the future. From classrooms to global stages.
Welcome to today's episode of The Conversation That Matters.
Nigerian youths are making an impact like never before. We are duty-bound to promote ingenuity, courage, and patriotism. Join us on Impact Nigeria as we spotlight stories that inspire, innovations that drive changes, and voices that matter.
What is patriotism to you?
Patriotism simply refers to love of country, commitment to country, determination to face odds in defense of country, and the eagerness to speak with pride about country.
Impact Nigeria, rekindling patriotism. Live every Saturday by 5 p.m. on NTA News 24. Join us.
So before the break, you made a valid point. Where do we want to be on the AI spectrum? Are we going to be the end users as usual of the product, or are we going to get involved in the actual process of making AI? Producing AI, I don't even know the right terminology for this. It's so new. That is a valid point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you see, there are the key. If you look at the global struggles now between places like China and America, for the Western world and the Asian world, is on these AI models. Who will build? How do you build your own models? Because you can localize the delivery of your model to your needs. You can do that better if you build it. So for us in Nigeria, I think we have the human resources to actually run this thinking and everything. And we must face building our own models rather than, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is fed largely on the data that they have access to. There are some context that we have in Nigeria. There are some data that, except we build it in Nigeria by ourselves, we would not be able to, make it most efficient for us. And the other thing with AI models is that it's not just the generative ones, like you want to generate a picture, you want to generate a text. There are a lot of other uses of AI in agriculture, in security, in medicine, that are not even like the ChatGPT and Gemini that we know. So these are the uses that we must look at, which is the most important use for our national development. I was happy with some of the, like your opening, your intro statement that talks about the fact that education enables the individuals to participate in the society, in the development of the society. So it is necessary that the society itself has its own vision, its own direction, so that everybody gets a feel of, Nigeria is trying to, build our own AI systems. Nigeria is trying to do this, and then you can see that motivation. And then when you talk about patriotism, it comes from the nation having his own sense of direction, and then everybody can try to, join it. So if the national policy on AI becomes more and more open, then our students in the universities studying computer science knows the aspects of AI that the society, the government, which is led by the government, is requiring and is hoping that they can, be proficient in. But currently, there is no clear sense of AI direction from the government, which will make everybody, just disjointed, looking for what to do and everything. So it might be difficult to form a national direction out of it. But ultimately, I would say the direction has to be building our own models across our specific needs or across the national aspirations.
It makes sense to me. Now, are there certain standalone skills that might not require certification?
In fact, very, very, very important. Now, those standalone skills, or sometimes we call them freelancing, because when you need something done, you just need who knows someone that has done it well.
Precisely.
So you just need word of mouth. Your skill, what you do, there are something like video editing. There is no certification for video editing, for example. If you see somebody that has produced a very good documentary or a very good video, you just like, who did that for you? I need that person. If you see a beautiful a building that is finished, like some of these artisanal works, you are passing beside a building and you see a building that is standing and is well finished and everything, you don't really care about the certificate of the bricklayers and of the guys that do it. And those are the levels of skills. There is a range of skills. In fact, today, to be honest, a lot of skills don't even need certification like that. But when you want to export it, there is need, to be able to, because if you take some of your skills outside Nigeria, they need a means to say, do you know some of the basic things around it? But more often than not, they just even throw samples and test at you, or even ask you for your portfolio, and you show them some of what you've done. You mean you've done this? Certificate or no certificate, to be honest, a lot of things you will get. And that opens you to global, especially with the digital world, it opens you to global opportunities. So I would say even the certificate today is not as important as your demonstrable skill, what you can demonstrate. You want to build an app, or you want to build a house, you want to get some work done, and you can say, oh, you see that building over there? I'm the one that did the painting. You see that beautiful roofing of that house? I'm the one that did it. Who is repairing your car? Your car is looking where, is this guy in so place? Word of mouth and something that can be shown. They are actually more of the current modern day certification of your skill. So I think there are quite a number of things that if people settle down, like you see somebody, a good dress, you don't care about the certificate of the person that designed and sold that dress. So to be honest, certificates are going to get less and less important, and the demonstration, the portfolio, the skills themselves will continue to speak louder than this thing. And that fits into the solution to our unemployment problem. The more people start stepping up and solving problems that people need, with or without certificate, if this spirit of skills development is national, if that spirit is there, that look, there are no jobs, nobody is going to give you certificated jobs, show your skills and you will get employment or you will get jobs. Gradually, our situation of unemployed people would progressively, reduce, because somebody that is freelancing, today you get a job, you get 200,000 naira for the work that you did over a week or something, and you can stay. And then in 2-3 days or in another 4-5 days, you get another gig. So that gig of freelancing economy is a big part of the solution to our unemployment problem. In America, for example, 57% of the jobs in America are freelance, not official. I mean, you have a skill, I know you have a skill, so when I need that skill, I call you.
Now, talking about skills, freelancing, and all of this, are there certain specific areas that you feel Nigerian youth would benefit if they would focus more? Are there certain marketable skills, certain in-demand skills that Nigerian youth should be casting their minds to?
You see, to be honest, that's why you see a lot of times people come out from outside Nigeria and say Nigeria is a land of opportunities. But generally speaking, I know technology enables a lot of things. So whatever your field, if you are into fashion designing, if you are into being tech enabled, is a skill that majority of people will need. in one way or the other. But so I'll
what do you mean by tech enabled?
Thank you. So I'll give a specific example. For example, I don't know if there is any business now that is not in one way or the other trying to market on social media in one form or the other, on WhatsApp in one form or the other. So if you can help me make my training tech enabled, that means can you help me can you help me market my hairdressing business, hair making business? Can you help me market my fashion business? I'm a civil engineer. Can you help me digitize and make my work available to the public? So that skill to enable, to support businesses is going to be very useful. Well, maybe I will call it specifically, maybe I will say digital marketing. I can say if you build digital marketing skills, you can virtually help anybody around you because everybody needs a customer for whatever service he's having. You know, so I would say digital marketing is something that can, you know, be very relevant to a lot of people. And then if you look at Nigeria as a whole, we have food. There is a food security problem. Prices go up today, they run here tomorrow. The whole agriculture and food security value chain, there are lots of opportunities there. Are you a critical thinker? Can you say why are things cheaper? Things are cheaper in Benue. Of course, removing all the security issues and the rest. Things are cheaper in Benue. They are this in Abuja. Is there any tech solution that you can use to bridge these gaps? So that critical thinking is really interesting because the guys that built Uber is just critical thinking. There are people that wants to move. There are people that have cars. But you have to come to the junction to wait for a taxi. So somebody is like, what if I can stay in my room and order a taxi? Hey, let's build an app for that. That's enabling a tech, using tech to enable getting a taxi. How many of that is available for bikes? You know, can I stay in my house and I need a bike to get to junction? Is there an Uber for bikes yet in your locality? So how do you, the basic things that you do, you just sleep and you think, the things that is worrying you to do, is there a way to step in with some tech? So maybe that's why I say I think the widest area for an average youth that really wants to like move can be in tech, because there is a lot of problems that tech solutions can be used to solve. But outside that, Nigeria is growing. If you move around Abuja today, you see a lot of real estate projects. In that value chain, what skill do you have? Can you paint? There is a lot of hands-on things, and these things might look like, no, me, I can't start doing. But there's money in these things because people demand quality these days. People expect a certain level of quality, and they will pay if the quality is there.
Which brings me to this other question. Is there any way that skills can be better integrated into our theory-based system of education so that as these youngsters are leaving either secondary school or university, they already are able to practice whatever it is they've been learning and so on? Is there any way you would advise that this could be done?
I think the clearest way I see is a closer integration between industries and schools. Let industrial attachment start from secondary schools, because the schools might not have the tools to give the students all the things they need to experience certain fields. A lot of times we ask our children, what do you want to be in future? What does the child know about many of these things? He has not been exposed to many of these things.
I wanted to be a driver so that I could drive cars.
Because that was clear to you. You could see a car and you could see driving it. But how do we expect a child to say, I want to probably build some solutions to the problems of the society when he has not experienced it? So I think even at primary and secondary schools, we should start running industrial attachments So that one, children start seeing like men, like no, my son recently said he wants to be a delivery man because he sees the delivery guy coming to deliver at home often. But your question is, how do we have a better integration? The one answer that because that question is something that has been worrying me for a while also. The simplest answer I've seen around that is earlier industrial integration, so that you don't spend primary school, secondary school. The first industrial attachment that you get to do is usually in year 3, year 4 of university. So let's bring that thing down, so that, because some of this that's one point I wanted to make earlier. Many of these things that we think that you need university for, they are actually possible. They are actually easier today than we think if we expose our children to it. So I would think that if we are teaching artificial intelligence, for example, let even secondary school students run 1 month, weeks of industrial attachment with NITDA, with what's it called, Galaxy Backbone, or even private industries. Let the government have this thing. That's why the government support is very important. But to answer your question, I would say earlier industrial attachment. That's where all those children you said you saw in China, it's not, many of those things is most likely not from their homes. Is a societal integration. Then they go, they see that, oh, so it's possible to just do a pen that can stretch and contract.
They're not inventing stuff at that age, but they're learning life skills at a very tender age. I'm seeing children who by the age of 10 will be able to handle lunch as long as there's fire safety protocols in the house. I'm seeing children who by the age of 12, 13 will be full-on fashion designers, because at the age of 5, they're already using sewing machines that are age-appropriate and things like that. So at that age, they're not necessarily inventing stuff, but they're being given skills that are life skills. They're not being taught abstract, theoretical stuff. I found it very interesting.
I really think it's not, they are not just inventing. They might not necessarily be inventing, and some of them might be, but more importantly is the exposure. The exposure unlocks their mind. That's why it's not skills or certificate, it's both. Or theory, is it theory or hands-on? No, the two of them needs to work. But I think what we need as a nation now is an earlier exposure to the industry.
Which brings me to getting to understand how an engineer became so passionate about education. How, like, yeah, I mean, evidently, you went to school, you're formally trained, you passed through theory-based education, but one would expect that you'd be on building sites or something. Why the keen interest in skill acquisition programs and things like that?
All right, interesting. I'll be very honest with you. I had a very interesting journey. I started practicing, and for my first 10 years, 12 years in engineering, yes, I felt deep inside me. I was on multiple national projects, actually. But sincerely, at a point, I felt the society needed me more in building the next generation because I could see solutions in the engineering space, to the national engineering space, than I could see solutions in the critical need to reorient the coming generation. And that was, at a point, I was just like, I think I'm more useful to the nation in reorienting the mind of the young ones than construction. So after a while, it was so sudden, but I think I'll be more useful to the country in that role.
And we think you're doing a good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving us your time, Engineer Jibril Ibrahim. And possibly we'll be bringing you back on the show again some other time to share more thoughts on this all-important topic.
Thank you for having me.
That both certificates and skills are important in the scheme of things cannot be overemphasized, as enunciated by our guest. It is therefore imperative for our youth to equip themselves fully with both as they seek to establish themselves in a world that is becoming more competitive. Thank you once again for being a part of today's program. If this episode resonated with you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and join us every Saturday at 5 p.m. for another interesting edition of the discussion that truly matters. Until then, stay thoughtful, stay engaged, and stay committed to building a nation that we will all be proud of. My name remains Deva Hamachiomo. Goodbye.